Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, withstand it for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. Call halal, Yahweh Ba'ashem Hawashai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, among the heathens that look like the heathens, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And beloved brother Kazak Ban Yahawada sent me an article which brought, this series to mind. This was in the Netflix series Black Mirror, episode 5. I think it was in the part 2 or part 1, I forgot, but it was called Metalhead. And my opinion, they all were good. This was the best one because it was so real to what's going to happen, because this thing is real. Those little metal dogs are real. And in this movie, they ejected sea hips as trackers. All right. When you came near one, it shot up into the air. It ejected an explosive straight up into the air like a bouncing Betty landmine, and it exploded at about 6 feet, and it shot out sea hips, maybe about 40 to 50 of them, tiny micro, tiny rice-size sea hips, and they would pierce your skin. And so if you got away from the thing, it would just track you. Hence this right here. Her running and she couldn't get away from it. Just those 4 metal legs constantly behind her. The thing was equipped with a handgun, very powerful handgun, as you can see in this image, where they would just simply blow your head off, and they didn't miss because whatever it looked at, the technology, kind of like the Predator, it shot whatever it looked at. And it didn't get tired. It was like the character Reese said in the Terminator. It doesn't rest. It doesn't need sleep. It doesn't get tired. Doesn't feel pain. Doesn't it doesn't feel hungry. It doesn't feel remorse. All right, and it would track you down. It absolutely will not stop until it has killed you, like it did this guy here when it jumped in a vehicle. And then it took over the vehicle. This is one of the reasons, and this is so spiritual, because this is one of the main reasons why they want to go electric with everything. Because had this been a normal vehicle, it wouldn't have been able to take over it. But since it was an electric vehicle, he was able to get in this robot, plug into it, and then control it and chase after the other vehicle and try to drive them off, the road. When the thing was disarmed, see if I can go back to the original image. It went, when she shot it with the shotgun, all right, she ended up hitting it, and it took it made it lose the firearm. When it broke into the house, it used its mechanical arm, grabbed a knife out of the kitchen, and power, like a power tool, screwed it into its own arm. And this made it even more deadly and more painful and agonizing death, because it could, although it wasn't as fast and as agile, it still would just track you down. And then its power source was light in the sun. So they created a perfect weapon. These things are real. All right. Let me go to this article that the brother sent me. Let me find it. And it's called Interesting Engineering Trending. and it's called Future Ready Australian Army Test Mind Controlled Combat AI Robot Dogs. All right? The brain signal successfully directed the robo dogs toward a number of locations that human controller picked up telepathically by the imagining them. So this is some serious high-tech stuff, man. Let's bring that into the focus. This is what I'm reading. You see the troops. Now I don't want to focus. Just trying to focus on a couple things. That's what it is. So let's put that there. There we go. Okay. So it says, Australian military is repeatedly testing the unique artificial intelligence AI brain robotic interface to control robo-dogs synced with troopers' minds. So that means that there's going to be some serious AI technology, some serious CHIP digital connections, all right? The breakthrough AI allows soldiers to control these robo-dogs or robot dogs or robo-dogs using advanced digital telepathy, according to the video released by Australian Army last week. So that's some serious hardcore stuff. So, and if they don't have weapons, they will be equipped with them, just like this one. It says the Army is exploring the use of brain signals to control robotic and autonomous systems, reads the video description. The Robotic and Autonomous Systems Implementation and Coordination Office, RICO, they love their acronyms, don't they? It's nested with the Future Land Warfare Branch and works closely with industry stakeholders. You hear that? So, when this thing is chasing you down, okay, it feels no pain, no pity. When the sun goes down, it'll once it uses up its battery power, it just folds up into this very hard shell, which is almost indestructible. All right, and it just sits there, and as soon as the light hits it, it powers back up and it's right back on you. Okay, which enters this thing. Monsters of Man. This is what happens when a robot finds a medical book and grabs a person and basically does an autopsy on them and pull them off and cuts their face off and puts it on his face, because this AI is trying to figure out what it is. All right? Because it has AI and it was self-learning. This was a great movie that you must see. I did a video, some time ago on this movie, but because of this article, I decided to revisit it. All right? And it's called The Monsters of Man. Okay? So what this movie was about, all right? What the movie was about, this Monsters of Man, was this guy always play an a-hole. CIA was testing, and if it came out in 22, I guess it was about around that time I saw it. And it was extreme. This was a very good movie. And what they did was they had some techies that working for the CIA and the military contractors were testing these things out. And they took them to a remote village, I believe, on the border between the borders of Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand, or something like that. And they were supposed to do an observe and report and that whole sort of thing. And it turns out that there was some drug runners in the village. And then they came across a deserter Navy SEAL. And then witnesses saw them, and so they decided to, basically the order was given for them to exterminate all witnesses. And it turns out that the witnesses that saw them, because they figured, well, these guys are just drug dealers or gun runners or whatever they were. But there was a group of medical students who got stranded, and they were there to help, so-called bring medicine, poison, to these people, out in the bush in these little villages. And they got lost and came across the same village where all this was going down, where this testing was going down. And they decided to unleash them, and they basically annihilated everyone. All right? In the most brutal fashion. Like you see here, this thing literally cut this man's face off. All right? And so they killed all these medical students and villagers, and and gun runners, and they were tracking them down. And what happened was when they let them out of the helicopter, out of the airplane, one of them's parachute malfunctioned. All right, the parachute malfunctioned, and it crash landed, and basically their ability to control it was and that was this one. All right, that particular one. It was 4 of them. I think he was number 4. You see, number 3 is on this one. They just numbered them, and I think number 4 was basically when it got damaged, they couldn't control it, and it was self-learning. And it decided, and so it was self-learning and decided that it was alive, but it figured out it wasn't human, and then it got a hold of the medical book, and then it realized that humans feel pain, so it didn't want to do that, and then it went on a mission to try to protect the humans, which that would not happen, while the other 3 were trying to hunt them down, and then they also tried to make then they upgraded the other 3 to attack this one, but this one was also self-learning. So this AI is dangerous in every way imaginable, and when things go, just believe the things like this are going to be kicking in your doors to bring you some democracy, right along with troops. So once you add troops, these shock troops, robots, and these dogs, it's just gonna be a lot of blood, a lot of chaos, a lot of blood, and a lot of suffering, like this couple, because they entered their house and killed them in their beds. And and when you were driving through the countryside, they had killed all the food supply. So whoever was controlling these things were behind the deaths of untold amounts of people. They were trying to control everything, kind of like the WEF and different individuals that are buying up land and destroying foods and crops all at the same time, and food processing plants are burning down, and chemicals are being released, and all manner of chaos is happening in the world. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. That's what I'm going to. It's one of my favorite scriptures because this is happening. We're living this. 2nd Ezra 9:1, and it reads, "And he answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people," both things are happening continually, nonstop, around the world. Not just one place, worldwide, especially across NATO-controlled, Western-controlled countries. All right? And some third world countries as well. "Then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For it's like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." So the end is here, man. It's everything that's happening. It's just like all these people. I'm laughing at these people who've been bragging about cryptocurrency, and then what's going on with the Fed. Let me see if I can find this madness here. That was on because this guy just left the what's his name? See if I can find that message. Actually, okay, I know how to find it. Because my professor sent it to me. Let me originally see if I can find it that way. Oh, nope, that ain't it. That ain't it. Yep.
Okay, just leaving the Capitol. 87,000 IRS agents coming after us are no longer funded.
Yep. So have a great night. So the 80,000 IRS agents are no longer funded. The Fed is falling apart and getting in trouble, and people are starting to figure out that the Fed is not federal. It has nothing. There's no attachment to the government. It is a privately owned bank. All right, and they have, and yet they, have regulation and rule over, have rule and control over your finances and over your money and over your taxes. And it's a privately owned bank that has nothing to do with your government whatsoever. There's no connection to your government. It's actually the all American citizens are debtors to it because people in the government allow it to be so. As a matter of fact, if Americans would truly loved America, every elected person seated that has anything to do with the Federal Reserve operating would be ousted and jailed, brought up on charges for treason or something, because the fact that it even exists is completely against your constitution, and that's what people are starting to realize. The same thing with Title 40 child support. You can't escape it now on the internet, being called out for the fraud that it is. It's an oppressive, fraudulent practice, and they call it the darling of the court because they make billions off of it. And and then they give it a name like child support to make it seem like it's a noble and great cause, when it really, the whole Title 4D is set up to support the state treasuries and the retirement funds for the judges and the lawyers that are all involved in it. This is why, and everybody that's involved is making money. All right, it's a great big old scheme, and people are starting to figure that out. All right, that they're using USC codes that don't align with constitutional law. All right, America's been sold out. That's why they want to get rid of TikTok, and eventually they want to get rid of this too. So information like that cannot be shared or talked about. All right, and their plans being exposed. All right, so it's just going to be a lot of blood shed as this whole cabal continues to fall apart. All right, this is 2nd Ezra 16 and 1. It says, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia! Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria! Gird up your loin, gird yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away?" So these plagues are going to continue to come, diseases, both man-made and sent from on high. All are sent from on high, right? Because even the man-made ones, nobody has free will. The Lord controls all man's going. So when some sicko decides to develop some sort of bacteria-fighting virus, some sort of virus that's immune or is not affected by different medicines, that the Lord put the spirit on them to do that. Why would you do that? And if you think that people don't do it, then you're just naive and stupid. All right, you think that viruses take thousands of years, hundreds of years to develop, and all of a sudden you got viruses that just spring up and develop within days or weeks, and it's insane. All right, they always talk about this. What's the word that they use when they speak about science? Now it's leaving me. When things evolve, evolution. All right, they give you all these crazy numbers, and it took millions of years for that, and millions of years of that. But all of a sudden, viruses are developing, in days, weeks, and just a couple years. There's no checks and balances in their lives, man, and they won't be able to continue these lives. Okay, but and all this is just going to drive the people crazy and make them violent, man. And it says, as 2nd Ezra 15:15, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So they're going to fight against their governments and everything. And they're going to unleash things like you just saw on the screen on the people. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash, Wa Abba Abba, Kwam Yasharala Shalom.